Welcome back to Expresso Live on SABC3. It's Finance Talk Time, and I'm with Mr. Warren Wilkenson. Yesterday, we discussed the problem that parents have of planning for their child's education and how important it is and what you can do. Yesterday was the problem. Today, we talk about the solution. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good, and yourself?
Very well, thank you. So
Excellent.
Yesterday, we discussed this problem.
Yeah.
Because we discussed that right now, it costs you 30,000 Rand per annum to put your child through university. If you use a kind of a moderate escalation, it could cost you up to
$500,000
rand
in 18 years' time.
In 18 years' time. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what to do to solve the problem?
Okay, look, I think for the sake of time, we want to just focus on one of the biggest problems that we see in practice when it comes to people saving for that particular goal. And that is that a lot of the product providers push an endowment solution. Okay. Now, an endowment is just a name for a product that is regulated in terms of the Income Tax Act, which has to run for a minimum term of 5 years. But what happens is you get sold it for an 18 or a 15-year policy term, so you're paying 3 times more costs and commissions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
The other problem with an endowment is that most South Africans are under the 30% marginal tax rate, okay, which means that if you pay less than 30% as a tax rate, which is pretty much about 270,000 Rand a year, so if you earn less than 270,000 Rand a year, you should not be in an endowment. Why? You may be asking. Because any interest that endowment earns gets taxed at a flat rate of 30%.
Wow.
Now, if you've got a marginal tax rate of 18%, yes, you first have to earn 23,800 Rand in interest before you start paying tax.
That's just the threshold that they kind of give as a rebate.
That's the interest threshold that you get as a rebate on your tax. So if you earn less than 270,000 Rand a year, the bottom line is don't even go the endowment route.
Wow. Okay.
Often they will try and encourage you to go to the endowment because it commits you to a particular goal.
It secures more money.
But at the end of the day, if you look at the cost implications, if you look at the tax implications, it's just not a viable solution.
Okay, so what is a viable solution?
So what do we look at is typically a unit trust solution. The reason for that, Kat, is very simply, we've gone through a recessionary period. People find that their cash flow sometimes gets put under pressure. Now, if they can't afford to pay the endowment and they stop it in the second or the third year, there's costs and commissions that they get penalized on. Where within a unit trust, you can carry on paying, and if you happen to stop for 3 months or a year or 6 months, then it doesn't, you don't get penalized from a cost perspective. So it's a lot more flexible than the endowment solution.
With the endowment solution, where you have the costs and penalties coming your way, do they then get deducted from the capital amount you've invested and the growth that you've been experiencing there? So essentially, you're kind of moving backwards.
That's right, because if you're saying, look, I'm committing, typically what we say to clients, look, if you want to go the endowment route because you are a 40% marginal taxpayer, or you're a trust, or you're a company, because they pay higher tax rates than somebody earning less than 270,000 Rand a year.
Yes.
Then we say to them, right, then take an endowment for no more than 5 years. It will automatically renew for another 5-year term when you get to the end of that 5 years, but then we will look at the options as to whether it's worthwhile you're renewing or whether you should actually look at other solutions at that point. Don't bind yourself in for 10, 15 or 20 years, because if you do commit to that term and you bail out in 5 years, you're paying 13 years worth of costs and commissions that needs to be drawn off the capital, and that's what upsets people. You know, you hear the sad stories of people saying, I've invested 100,000 Rand and I'm getting 80 grand back or 50 grand. What's the point? What is the use? And what we're trying to do is encourage people to get into a healthy habit of saving for a particular goal, but making sure that the vehicle that you use is tax efficient, is cost effective, and will get you there with as little as pain as possible.
So once again, thank you very much for the pearls of wisdom. Really appreciate it. Wow, there you have it. And of course, this is on Expresso Showmobi as well. Right now, we're talking lunar eclipse with Ewan.